Talking about today comes from just about an hour and a half north of me at Gonzaga University, a private Jesuit school and a haven for coddled children that feel microaggressed by the slightest inconvenience. Let's take a look at the video they made directed at Gonzaga University administrators titled, Where Were You When?
Dear Thane McCullough, Judy Biggs Garbullo, Patrician O'Connell Killen, Matthew Lamsma, Scott Snyder, Eric Baldwin, Ray Angle, we are now taking our seat at the table.
The mission statement states to protect those that are vulnerable. Where were you when me and a fellow student of color were called the N-word just 2 blocks off campus?
In this case, they were 2 blocks away, on campus. Yes, it is bad that you were called a racist name, but in this case, what do you want the university to do about it? Launch an investigation? Send campus police out to arrest the guy? Again, this happened off campus, so I'm not sure exactly what could be done, if anything.
Where were you when the white professor decided that we can use the N-word in class because of the context that we were using it in?
I understand that the N-word and other terms used in history can be offensive, of course, but we can't pretend like history was different just because it offends our modern sensibilities. And sometimes, if you're talking about history, phrases and words that are unacceptable today can be used when you're learning and talking about the past.
Where were you when the same person called me Oriental and told me my lunch smelled weird?
The phrase Oriental certainly is politically incorrect, but I'm not so sure if it's exactly racist. And of course, I'm not certain, but I don't think the girl who said your lunch smelled weird was doing it to be a jerk and hurt your feelings. You could have easily used that comment to start a conversation and tell her about your culture and turn that negative experience into a positive one. But if you did that, you wouldn't be able to turn around and make this video complaining about microaggression, so I do see your dilemma.
Where were you when the white kid sitting next to me in class asked to touch my nappy hair?
If that is the word that the white guy in question here used, then yes, this is probably racist. But it is worth mentioning that in this entire 5-minute video, this is the only example of something that is even borderline racism.
Where were you when I sat across the table from the chief editor of the Gonzaga Bulletin after he likened black people in Baltimore to terrorists?
Hold on a second here. The newspaper editor you're talking about didn't liken all black people to terrorists. He was talking about the rioters that were destroying their city. He was talking about the rioters that were using physical force and violence for political gain. You know, like literally the definition of terrorism. And the fact that the rioters were largely black has nothing to do with it. We have a standard of behavior in this country that all races should be expected to follow. Whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. Follow the law and you're fine by me. Engage in literal terrorism, regardless of your race, and you will be labeled a terrorist.
Oh, that's right. You were across the table from me, comforting him, telling me and my other comrades who had come to share our stories and our sentiments to, quote, not intimidate him, to not gang up on him.
Well, if you and your group of comrades were acting in an intimidating way, and it was a gang of, again, comrades versus this one guy, it sounds like the university literally did their job to step in and keep that guy safe.
Where were you when I shared my story on campus, only to have a white faculty member run her fingers through my hair as if she never heard a word I said?
Considering this is the kind of thing that could get a professor fired and get national media attention, I seriously doubt this actually happened.
Where were you when I introduced myself as Alan, and I was asked if I wasn't sure it was Alan?
Sorry, but when you have an unconventional name, it kind of comes with the territory to have people ask questions about pronunciations. In this situation, it's entirely possible, and I would venture to say likely, that somebody was trying to figure out how to spell your name, and was wondering if it was spelled A-L-A-N, like the name Alan usually is.
Where were you when I was walking to an office on campus and the woman working there was talking about her racist grandpa and how funny the jokes are that he makes? Why is my race a joke?
Alright, so no more stories about our funny grandparents or family members that we love. Got it.
An aspect of the mission statement that spoke to me was its commitment to the poor and the vulnerable, solidarity with the poor and the vulnerable. So my question is, where were you when I was entering my first week of freshman year and I was in my dorm room and I heard the phrase in the hallway, "That's so gay"? Where were you when I felt my skin crawl and when I felt isolated, not knowing who I could talk to?
Ha! Gay!
If the phrase, "that's so gay," is going to make your skin crawl and cause you this much emotional trauma, I really don't know what to tell you. This strikes me as a massive overreaction to a statement that wasn't even made with homosexuals in mind, considering that "that's so gay" is usually just directed at things that are lame, not cool, etc.
The teacher reluctantly talked about diversity, and the students decided that it was a waste of their time, and therefore they should just pull up their laptops and not pay attention.
Considering those students are probably spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on their Gonzaga education, it's completely within their right to not pay attention. They probably could have even walked out if they wanted to. Why do other individuals' education choices matter to you? From where do you derive the right to tell them what they have to pay attention to?
Where were you when my hard work was attributed to the color of my skin and called luck?
If someone makes that assumption about you as an individual, I can see why you'd be upset by that, and I can see where you're coming from here. But that doesn't erase the statistical truth that people who are white and Asian are getting disproportionately disadvantaged by affirmative action programs, while Hispanic and black students are benefiting. The easy answer here, by the way, is to end affirmative action programs, so people can't make those assumptions. But I doubt any of the people in this video would support that idea.
Where were you when the middle-aged white lady working at Starbucks in Hemingston told me I was spelling my name wrong?
It strikes me as funny that this guy, who is huge, is the one doing a commentary on his Starbucks order. Anyways, I can't speak for the barista in this situation, but this doesn't strike me as a racist or a discriminatory comment. She probably just hadn't seen this guy's name spelled that way before.
I remember, the first day of orientation. Gonzaga really, posted this mission statement. We're, developing the whole person, and that we're committed to social justice. And I think back to this one time I was in one of my classes, and we were talking about racism. And there's one student who turns to me and says, I feel like the best way to get rid of racism is obviously just to ignore it. Nah. And I remember seeing the professor sit there, silent, not saying anything. Is that who we are as an institution? That's not it.
Perhaps instead of acting like a sanctimonious jerk, you could have explained to that student why you agreed or disagreed with his statement. This is a fantastic example, by the way, of how PC culture is paralyzing our society and making us unable to communicate or converse with each other. This black guy presumably wanted the professor or university to chastise this student for his opinion. Okay, why? What's stopping this guy from just explaining his opinion, having a conversation, and then both of them possibly learning from each other? Why does the university need to intervene in this situation?
Where were you when I was asked, no, where are you really from?
I feel like this question gets brought up in some form in every commentary video about racism. This guy knew full well what the questioner actually meant. He knew full well it wasn't meant to be racist or offensive. Yet, he's not going to let that get in the way of his ability to come on here and complain about imaginary discrimination.
Where were you when I was struggling in my engineering classes and I was told maybe I don't belong here?
First off, congratulations to you for choosing a STEM major. Math and engineering are extremely difficult, and it's awesome you think you'll be able to succeed in those courses. However, if a student is taking classes that he or she isn't prepared for, or just doesn't have the aptitude for, it's literally the university's job to step in and help that student decide whether to keep working through the difficult classes, or perhaps choose a different field of study where he or she can be more successful.
The Gonzaga experience fosters a mature commitment to global engagement. Where were you when, my first month here, my professor told me I could not go home to celebrate a Muslim holiday with my family?
If everybody just got to choose which days they take off and visit home, professors would be forced to endlessly find accommodations for hundreds of students and their different travel whims. Your primary job is to be a college student and to get your degree. It's not going to kill you to miss one holiday from home.